So Abriana, here are a couple more examples like number 14. The first one, 2x squared plus 5x minus 18. Notice there's a 2 in front of the x squared. So I am going to use a Punnett square for this. So I'm going to make a larger square, and then I'm going to put a t in it to create 4 smaller squares. And then the first term, that 2x squared, is going to go top left, and the minus 18 is going to go bottom right. Then to figure out what to put in the other 2 squares, I'm going to multiply those 2 terms together. 2 times negative 18 is negative 36, and I'll have my x squared. And the reason I include the x squared is to remind myself that these 2 terms, when they get filled in, will each have an x, because the middle term has an x, and we got to get that back. So now I'm going to list numbers that I could multiply and get 36 from. So 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and again, you can use your calculator if you need to, and 6 and 6. Now, how do I know which one to choose to fill in the numbers in the other 2 squares? Well, this is a minus 18, so I want to choose the pair that differ by 5, or in other words, if I did bigger minus smaller, I would get 5 as my answer. You can use your calculator if you need to, but 9 take away 4 is 5. So I can go ahead and fill in the 9 and the 4, but there's one other thing I have to remember, and that is that this 36 is negative, so I need to get a negative, which means the signs have to be opposite. And if you recall, the bigger number, which in this case is the 9, will get the middle term sign, which is a plus, which leaves the 4 with a minus sign. Now I've got my Punnett square filled in. I can factor out my GCFs. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first row. And I'm going to look at a 2x squared and a 9x. 2, the smaller number, does not go into 9, but I notice that they each have an x, so I can pull out an x to the first. Now when I go to, and one other thing, when you say 2 doesn't go into 9, you go smaller 1. Could you pull the 1 out? Yeah, you could write this as 1x. We just don't usually do that, but it's fine to pull the 1 out if you want. And then when we go to the next row, we see we have a negative 4x and a negative 18. I know I can pull the negative sign out. 4 does not go into 18, so I have to go smaller. 2 goes into 4, and 2 also goes into 18, so I can pull out a 2. I cannot pull out the x because the 18 doesn't have it. Now I'm going to go vertically. So if I go the other way, now I'm looking at 2x squared and negative 4x. The smaller number, the 2, does go into 4. I will not pull the negative sign out because the 4 doesn't have it. They each have an x, so I can pull out that x to the first. Then I'm going to go to the next column here. So I see I have a 9x and a negative 18. The smaller number 9 does go into 18, so I can pull the 9 out. Now I won't pull the minus sign out because the 9 doesn't have it. But now I'm done. I'm ready to go into my parentheses. And so I can write my final answer as 2x plus 9, because the 9 is positive, times x, or 1x, I'm going to drop the 1, it doesn't matter, you can keep it if you want, minus 2. Now just remember, it wouldn't matter if someone else said, hey, I wrote this as x minus 2 first, and then 2x plus 9. Is that different? No, they are the same answer. It doesn't matter which order you write it in, because multiplication is associative. Order does not matter. So let's take a look at the second example. And again, same strategy. We're going to draw, because we've got a 4 there. We're going to draw a Punnett square, a larger square. We're going to put our t in the middle to create those 4 smaller squares. And then right off the bat, that 4x squared, I'm going to put top left. And the negative 3, I'm going to put bottom right. And then I'm going to multiply those together, and that's going to give me negative 12x squared. And now I'm going to look at numbers I could multiply and get 12. Well, 1 and 12 would work. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 3 goes into 12 4 times. And then that's it. I've got all my options listed. Which one do I want to choose? Well, I want the pair that differ, because that's a minus sign, by 11. So if I go back and I say, what's 12 take away 1? That is 11. So right off the bat, I've found the pair I want to use. I know that because this is x squared there, they both have to have an x. And I'm going to just put a 1 and a 12. And it won't matter where you put them, remember that. And now the bigger number, because this was a minus 12x squared, these have to have opposite signs. The bigger number is going to get the middle term sign, so that 12 has to be negative, and that leaves the 1x positive. Now I'm going to start my factoring process now. So I'm going to go to the top row here, and I'm going to be looking at 4x squared and 1x. The 1, I can pull it out again if I want to, but you don't have to. That's the smaller number. And then the x I can pull out also because they each have an x. You'll never pull out an x squared. And now I'm going to go to the bottom row, and I see that I have a negative 12x and a negative 3, so I can pull the negative sign out, and 3 does go into 12, so I can pull the 3 out. The 3 doesn't have an x, so I won't pull the x out. Now I'm going to look at my columns. So now my first column, I see I have a 4x squared and a negative 12x. 4 goes into 12, so I can pull that out, but not the negative sign because the 4 doesn't have it. They each have an x, so I can pull out a 4x. Now when I go to the next column, I see that I have a 1x and a 3. 1 goes into everything, so I can pull a 1 out. Actually, in this case, you really do want to make sure you pull the 1 out, because notice you can't pull the x out and you can't pull the negative sign out. So you need to have something there. You'll never have it just a blank there. You'll always put a number. So if nothing can be pulled out, you always put a 1. All right, so now I'm ready to write my final answer. In the first set of parentheses, I could go ahead and put the 4x, and it's a plus 1. You only put a minus sign if you were able to pull a minus out. And then it's going to be 1x or just x minus 3. And remember, it would be just as correct if you had written this as x minus 3 times 4x plus 1. So those are the examples for now that are like number 14. We hopefully will be able to meet tomorrow, Adriana, just depending on how my mom's doing. But if I can't meet with you tomorrow, I promise I'll make more videos. And you can email me and let me know what you really need help with. Send me pictures. If there are certain problems you want me to work out, just send them to me and I will make you a video. But hopefully we'll meet tomorrow. Have a good day.